All right, well, it is 2 o'clock, so that means that we will get started, and those who are a little bit late will just have to catch up. So today we have Brett Allen from the Technology Integration team here to show us how to specify dirt tech walls in ICE, and this is a new process that that has just been put into ICE, so it should be new for a lot of people. So without further ado, thank you, Brett, for coming, and you can take it away whenever you're ready. I am recording.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So thanks very much, everybody, for coming. I'm happy that we're definitely doing a webinar today because I realized about halfway through this morning that I forgot to put on deodorant. So no, I'm totally kidding. I'm wearing deodorant. Mary can vouch. But anyways, so yes, welcome to the tech wall specification. There's been a bunch of updates to ICE and our process. This all goes in line with what we're trying to do at Dirt Tech and make your guys' life a lot easier and your process is easier, and to, again, specify this stuff easier. So just a little background information before we get going on some of the hardware. If you guys aren't familiar, here's the two sets of brackets that we use to mount our systems. We have hardware 201, which is our standard foot, and our hardware 262, which is our Bigfoot brackets. Now, for the thinner TVs, ones that are under 1.6 inches, we use hardware 201, and that just mounts on the one horizontal extrusion. You can see that happening right here. And that's what the difference is between the hardware 201 and 262 is with the Bigfoot brackets, this foot right here that we use to mount to the horizontals, it actually spans across two different horizontals. So that's why typically when we advise using the hardware 262, not to have any horizontal breaks behind here, because you can see with the thickness of this Madonna right here, that's going to start to interfere with our vertical brackets. Carrying on with just a little background info with our fan kits, hardware 184 is our typical ventilation fan kit. Of course, anytime you put any sort of technology or components inside walls, first thing you have to worry about is heat management. So this thin fan kit right here dissipates the heat through ventilation in the cornice itself or the top of the rail. And with infrared interactive technologies like Mimeo Teach and eBeam, we use hardware 208, and this is actually a snorkel fan kit. So it actually dissipates the heat in between the monitor and the glass, which usually interferes when it's built up with infrared signals that the receiver uses to pick up the feedback. Last bracket that I want to talk about is the ladder brackets. With the big movement towards larger, more affordable screens, we've accommodated them with our ladder brackets. This is a structural bracket because typically these large displays weigh up over 100 pounds typically. So to accommodate for that, we use a hardware 275 load transfer bracket. Because this is an oversized frame, we need to accommodate for this missing vertical right here, so that's where hardware 275 comes in. We also use hardware 202 to keep this gap between the two horizontals on either side consistent and structural. So that's what you see right there. And IR repeaters, have plenty of questions about IR repeaters, and I'm always here to answer them. But what an IR repeater is, in a nutshell, is just an extension cord for your component. So when you have it, again, behind a tile and your IR sensors are concealed, you put these beads that you see up here on the IR sensors of each of your components, including your TV. They go into one consolidated box. It goes to one consolidated receiver, and that receiver picks up the signal for all your different components. So if you're wondering which hardware goes where and where it's necessary exactly, I've made this lovely visual diagram for the people that don't like to read. You can go over your conditions, standard, oversized, oversized with 70 to 90 inch display, what type of brackets, if I have a deep TV, a narrow TV, and what types of accessories. Now this is found on, if you're not familiar with our integrated technology page, it's just in the My Dirt, drop down into products, integrated technology, in our media wall, hardware diagram right there. So specifying tech walls before in Windows and backpainted glass was an annoying process, as I'm sure most of you could vouch. We tried to communicate the opening in the glass via tagging, and it worked, but it's a confusing process. You used to have to create a custom library and then tag that piece of glass with your custom library. You can see it there as well. Then create a custom style. You don't get a visual representation in there. Have to add custom catalog notes, and then you have to send it off to pricing, info for pricing. Now today, and I'm sure some of you may have already played with it, but we have a new way of specifying these windows and backpainted glass. I'm going to give you a quick demo right now, and it's going to be following the how to specify a media wall and ice. Again, that is just right here. There's one right there, media wall order guide updated, and it's also right there as well. So if you want to follow along, you can follow along. Otherwise, I'll just walk you through the process. Okay. So in this case, I have a couple solid walls right here. One's a 40-inch module, and one's a 55-inch module. I wonder what you think I'm going to do with these guys. So let's just make our way down the list on how to specify media wall and ice. Step number 1, in ice, select a solid wall style from the product tree. So I'm going to go on the right side here, select one, right click, hit edit style. So next step is to select the tile that will house the monitor, go into finishes editor and change that finish to backpainted glass. So I'm going to go into finishes right now, change that into a frameless glass tile. You can see it's reflected there. Let's go with Shake It for our color. Next, in the style editor, select the backpainted glass tile, go to Insert and select Window from the drop-down menu. So I'm going to select my tile, I go to Insert, and I select Window. Now just like that, you'll see instantly we have an updated image right here, reflecting a window in the backpainted glass, and it says no image. So, like it's saying in step number 5, a window will appear in the tile. Select the window, go to Properties, edit the height, width, positioning on the tile. So I'm going to right click, or I could go into Properties over here. And you can see that we have plenty of options here in Properties. So first thing I can do is make this a little bit prettier and add any image I like. Well, now we have a bunch of stock images, ICE default images, that you can select. Forecast is what I'm going to use. And we can also adjust the height. So out of default, I think it's a 46-inch TV, but I'm going to make it a 40-inch display. Now, this is, again, the window of the monitor. So if it's a 46-inch display, again, it's the active monitor, not the full-size width of the TV, just the active monitor, just like you always used to do. So I have a breakdown of all these different sizes. So I'm going to go with a 40-inch display, like I was saying. So I'm going to put in 19.6. That's my height of the window, and the width is going to be 34.9. Now you'll also see that I have options to change the position of the window on the tile. Whether it's centered, I can go from the top and maybe change it to 6 inches. Let's actually do more like 10 inches. And if I want to spec it from the right side and maybe go over 16 inches. Might be a little bit much. Let's see. Yeah, way too much. Let's try something more like 8 inches. There we go. But not many people do that, so I'll actually go back to centering it. So now, going back to my step-by-step process, I've made my adjustments to my height, made it a 40-inch monitor. I've changed the position a little bit. And it's important that this window stays 6 inches away from the top of the tile, because if you can believe it, if you actually have your window, the monitor, right at the top, 0 inches, that window will show that horizontal extrusion here, and unfortunately your TV is not going to fit in there as well. So just make sure that you give it at least 6 inches. And that's from the top or bottom. So I'm going to jump back out here. I can see all my inputs just reflected right there. So I'm going to hit OK down at the bottom. It's going to prompt me to save it as a style. I'm just going to change it to 40 media wall. Alright, so there's my style right there. I'm going to select this one right over here, edit my style, properties, and change that to my 40-inch media wall. There it is reflected. Going back to my steps right now. Yep, just doing exactly what I just did there. Rename the style, going back into the 2D window, the section that I wish to add to the media wall to. Double-click the eyeline twice to select the frame, right-click and select my style from the properties editor, and we're laughing. So that's a standard 40-inch wall. Let's do the same thing for this oversized panel here. So again, let's see how quick we can do this here. I'm going to jump in here, and I'm going to make it a 55-inch window. So I'm jumping to finishes, frameless glass tile. Let's go blue this time. Insert. And we're going to want a little bit more room here. So with horizontal breaks, to fine-tune these to a specific dimension, all you're going to do is hit Properties. I'm going to bump this up to 7 foot. You can see that's reflected over there. And just to keep it linear and a clean look, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This will give me the clearance that I need for my brackets to fit in. So jump back into my my tile here, insert, window, again, properties. Actually, in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a window for a display, and I'm also actually going to add a window for a clock. So I'm going to adjust my window to 6 inches by 1 foot. I'm going to change my JPEG image to a clock, and I'm going to spec it from the top right. From the top, I'll go 6 inches, like I was saying. And from the right side, I'm going to go 4 inches. Now I have a spot for my clock. Now if I want to add another window, I just hit Insert again. Once I've selected my tile, Insert, Window, there it is. In this case, we're going to go with a 55-inch display. So a window for a 55-inch display is 25.0 inches by 47.9. And there it is. I'll give it an image. Again, you can choose an image if you'd like throughout your library. I don't think I have any good ones right now, so I'll just use, again, another default image. Now in this case, because it will just give me a default 4-foot wide frame here, and I can't increase that without getting a warning, I'm just going to leave it reflected like this.
I kind of want to watch this. Need hands or what?
I'm going to double click, just like this. Oh, I forgot to rename my style. No. Sorry guys. I don't think it's in here either. Didn't save it. Rookie mistake. Let's just drag this up to, sorry. If you didn't learn the first time, here's a quick recap. 7 foot. 7 foot. Change this tile to a different finish. Insert my window. Unfortunately, I lost my clock. I hope you guys can accept that. So I'm going to go back, File, Save As, Solid Walls, and I'm going to call this one my 55-inch display. Now another great feature now that I have my 55-inch wall, and you can see it reflected in there. Now another great feature about this new ICE catalog is we actually have catalog items for technology walls. So when I go to catalog items here, I go to media wall hardware, and there is a breakdown of actually all the hardware needed. So if I want to look at my diagram or my order guide, I would know that I'm going to need a hardware 184. Oh, and you can see I actually have a few other ones already in here. Hardware 184 from my fan, hardware 202, I'm going to need a few of these guys because it is an oversized frame. And I'll need my hardware 262 Bigfoot LED brackets, and that's added. As well as for an oversized frame, I'm going to need a leveler. I have my leveler down here. Now it's important to note that right now, currently in this catalog, we don't have hardware 201. Yes, the most basic standard mounting bracket, it's not in here. It'll be in August. Fortunately, it just got skipped when they're adding it in the catalog to ICE, so no worries. If you can bear with us for a month and just add it the way you used to as a custom catalog item, then you'll have no issues. So now we have our hardware. We've had a window on our backpainted glass, and another great part is you go to our quote, and you have instant pricing. So no more submitting to info for standard colors, as this is automatically priced in ICE with our window and our backpainted glass. For custom colors, currently right now, you still need to submit a request to info, submit your ICE file, and they will be able to get back to you promptly with pricing. So that's your live demo. It's also reflected in what you see here is reflected in our multiple elevations. You can see them right there, right there. Visual representation, all manufacturing information goes straight to the factory on the work orders, right out of ICE. And looking at the time right now, that's perfect. I allowed 20 minutes for specifying, and I am ready for any and all questions you guys may have. Heather?
I actually have a question. There is some conversation about merging tiles. Can you elaborate on that?
Heather, there is a glitch right now when we are talking about merged tiles. So if we want to use this as an example, let's say we have our TV already in the center of this three-frame wall, and we want to merge these three tiles right here, right here. So if I was to select that tile and select merge, you'll notice my display disappears. And then again, if I want to merge them all, it's completely disappeared. Why does it do this? Because the master tile is actually in the order of the way the walls were drawn. So in this case, this right frame was drawn first, so it actually has the master tile. So it's kind of difficult to actually pinpoint what is the master tile if you don't know the order of which the walls are drawn. Your easiest fix, and I'll just fly over here, is to actually have three displays all drawn, and then when you select two tiles to merge them, you'll see this. And actually, if I want to select this tile as well and merge it, but now you'll notice that our display isn't centered in the middle of the tile. Well, you just right-click, go into your properties, select your window and go into Properties. Just toggle over to Center and jump back out, and now it's centered between the frames. Simple as that. Anything else you'd like me to add, Heather?
No, I think that covers and answers my question very well. Thanks, Brett.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Okay, so we have a couple other questions, not from me. I'm just going to read them out. So Lindsay asks, is there a rule of thumb as to how much horizontal bracing is needed when it comes to oversized frames? I know the document says 2 times, but perhaps more is needed when getting into 80 inches.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, first off, to use the general rule of thumb, if you use a 40-inch display, you need a 40-inch wide frame. So if that's just the best practice, but if you really need to get into some really hard specific numbers, the thickness of our Fat Angus vertical solid wall extrusions is 0.69 of an inch. So, and you're going to want to give that a buffer with a couple of zippers and a zipper tool in there as well. So you're looking at about an inch to about an inch and a half at least, so just to make sure that you do have enough clearance.
All right, so hopefully that answered, okay, that did answer your question. And one last from Amanda, what about the TV behind the glass? Is the vertical extrusion going to run into the TV?
The vertical extrusion behind the TV. I'm going back into ice here. Which one are we talking about? Because in this case, this is just an oversized frame here. Obviously, you can't have a vertical extrusion behind a oversized or behind a TV at all. That's why oversized frames need deflection approval done by PD, and just because you don't have this vertical that runs down the center.
My guess would be that question is referring to the merged tile discussion previously.
Okay,
if you're merging tiles, then the TV is still going to go within one single frame, but you can merge a tile horizontally across multiple frames. Your opening for the TV is just going to be located over the single frame that the TV is inside. Correct.
Not across both.
And I've got a question as well. We haven't addressed hidden Madonnas. Is the process for adjusting those still what we've been used to all along, and we're...
Yeah, that's not changing at all.
Okay. Want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
Okay.
Great question, Adrian. Thank you.
Thanks,
and
Sorry, not to poke my nose into your training session.
No, not a problem.
So are there any additional questions from anyone that is here? All right, since I'm not even seeing if anybody is typing, then I am going to say thank you very much, Brett. I appreciate I appreciate your insight, and I appreciate the time you took to be with us. So thank you very much. And if anybody has any additional questions, you can send it to info@dirt.net, and we will make sure that Brett or myself get those questions. So thank you very much, everyone.
One last thing, just remember to check, as you're all getting off, just check online for the integrated technology, and I'll explain that merge tile thing we were talking about earlier for you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Have a good day, everyone.